worldwide. Please stand up, meet and greet a fellow Rotarian or some of our awesome guests today.
All right, hey everybody, it's Nickolas Wildstar, Mayor. I'm here to make a speech here at the Rotary Club of Fresno. I'm going to be Mr. Wildstar. Hello, Mr. Dyer. Pleasure to meet you. Very well. Absolutely. You're live right now on Facebook. How are we doing? Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm here to make a quick speech and see if they'll, thankfully, they allowed me to videotape, so you'll have everything on video. Stay tuned because it's going to be quite a luncheon. All right, enjoy.
Excited about today. Welcome everyone. Introduce John Richards, going to do our Pledge of Allegiance and our invocation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Nice crowd today. I told Todd if we were a church, this is the day you want to pass the hat. Anyway, let's pray. This weekend we were driving along some of the Blossom Trail, and some of the flowers were just emerging. Very beautiful. And so, Lord, we give you thanks. It's springtime. That always gives us a sense of hope. These fruit trees give us two gifts, really. The fruit that nourishes us, and these blossoms that give us joy and delight. As Rotarians, we continue to do our service above self. May we also do that in the same manner with joy and delight. As for the food today, we thank and we remember everyone that had anything to do with that plate of food arriving at your table. And we say all these things in your name. Amen. Amen. Now, Pledge of Allegiance. Veterans know what to do. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, John. Appreciate that. Please remain standing. Michael Witten, I feel like a song today. Your dad ratted you out, so you are on it.
You know, I feel like a song too.
Fantastic.
And as we say in Scouts, the best way to sing a song is standing up, and we're all standing up. So we're going to sing God Bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Good job, May I just say, since a couple weeks ago I wasn't here, and we introduced the new member that I sponsored, PJ Bassi. PJ's in the back. Everybody say hi, PJ. Hi, PJ. There we go. Have a good day, guys.
All right, fireworks, fireworks, fireworks. Now you may sit. Thank you, everyone. So again, we have a couple business items today. We are a business-to-business organization, so we have a few things to get through, and then we'll introduce the main program of the day. I have the honor of introducing our visiting Rotarians and guests. Always nice that you guys take some time to attend our meetings and our Monday meetings. Way too many. I think we'd be here till 3 o'clock if I went through the list. I appreciate you're here. So if you're a visitor, Rotarian, or a guest, can you please stand? We'll do a wave. You stand, everybody, all our guests. Great. Thank you very much. As I said, we're kind of a business-to-business organization, and we have a lot going on. So I often get asked on kind of international. We do a lot of community stuff, about $100,000 in community grants a year. We have Isabel Good and Joe. I don't think Joe's doing. You're off to Africa next week to deliver wheelchairs to Africa. So thank you for that. Safe travels. And then yes, thank you, Joe. Good. Appreciate that. And some of the other things we have is a little bit related to some of our communities within Rotary. So we're going to have a short video on that. Communities within Rotary.
We're for communities. Your local ones, the established ones, the emerging ones, the wacky ones, and the peaceful ones, even faraway ones. We champion them because we believe society works best when people work together. Without them, it's another story. But we can do something to strengthen our communities. Because we are Rotary. People with the desire to give something back to the society that made us, us. People from all backgrounds with skills and experience on a wealth of important issues. Supporting good causes locally and internationally. Helping all sorts of projects to succeed. And helping those who need it most. Rotary. We're for communities.
This is from Great Britain, but it certainly kind of provides that foundation of what we do on a community basis. So if you are interested in Rotary, we would be happy to have you every Monday from that standpoint. Thank you so much. We have a couple things going on today in kind of our forum, if you will. But I was honored, and we have obviously two candidates today, and Al's going to be doing some monitoring from that standpoint, offering some questions. But we did offer the other candidates some time. So I was honored to meet Nick today. Nick Wildstar showed up today, and he's going to take a couple of minutes just to kind of give you his ideas on the mayoral race. He's one of the candidates for mayor. He's going to take a couple of minutes to do that, so you can give him your attention. Nick, come on up.
All right. Hello, everyone, and thank you. How do I sound? Am I too loud? Too soft? All right. Thank you very much. My name again is Nickolas Wildstar, and thank you for having me here today. I have a lot of ties in my closet that are collecting dust, so this gives me an opportunity to, finally get one out. So my wife picked this one. Hope you like it very much. And she wishes she could be here today. Thank you. My name is Nickolas Wildstar. That is my real name. And yes, I am a candidate running for Mayor of Fresno. Actually ran for governor of California twice. Once in 2014 and then again in 2018. And when I ran in 2018, I was endorsed by the Libertarian Party of California. And they have endorsed my run for mayor as well. So, I am a radical for libertarianism and am highly recognized by the Libertarian Party for my civil rights activism. I've been a civil rights activist for over a decade now, have been involved in multiple protest rallies throughout the state, but I'm widely more recognized for my work as a First Amendment auditor, it's called. So that's basically where you as an individual would be able to videotape stay a public officer in their line of duty to make sure that they're, of course, upholding the law as we have designated to them according to the Constitution, and of course make sure that they're upholding their oath as well. So I have a very popular YouTube channel with over 5 million views with me again recording police officials and judicial officials. So I'm very known as a radical, and I have a lot of radical ideas for the city of Fresno. One of those radical ideas to solving homelessness is I would like to build them homes using highly advanced technology, 3D printed homes, and I have the radical notion to actually allow people to have more businesses and allow them to have more money in their pocket by cutting taxes. So these are some of my ideas. Please visit my website, wildstar2020.com, to find out more about what I have to offer. Thank you for your time.
Great, thank you. Within Rotary, we have membership, obviously, and then we have a little bit on the life membership. And Blair, would you like to come and talk a little bit about our life membership?
I would love to come and talk about our life members, Todd. You know that our life members are my favorite people. I'm so glad right now. It's my favorite people at Rotary today.
Isn't it a great day to be a Fresno Rotarian?
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, last Tuesday was a great day to be a Fresno Rotarian if your name was Frank Withrow. Frank, you want to start working your way down here? Because it was 40 years ago on February 4th that Frank Withrow became a member of the Fresno Rotary Club. Frank is a Paul Harris Fellow and a member of the Fresno Fellows. Good to see you here, Frank. You know, Frank became a member of the club. He started his career at Safeco Title up in Madera. Then he got transferred down to Fresno and became a member of the club when he took over as the county manager for Safeco Title with offices throughout Fresno County. Through real estate transactions, he met Ham Lees. How many of you remember Ham Lees? Come on, this table over here has got you. A couple guys back here with some silver hair remember Ham Lees. And he worked in that position, well, until Safeco was taken over by Chicago Title. And you ran that Chicago Title office until you retired. You're doing pretty good here, all right. I'm just reading what you said. We're working real well there. Frank has retired. He's got a son and a daughter, and he has 3 granddaughters, 24, 16, and 14. Looks like a lot of marriages in your future. Saving up for that? Well, I hope you're taking advantage of your buddies out on the golf course, which is your hobby. You know, one of the great things about Frank, and it's a real pleasure when I see him every Monday at Rotary, he's a guy who extends his hand out in great friendship and the broad smile on his face. When you see him, you'll see this. You start doing this, pay attention to Frank. He is very welcoming to you. Frank, why don't you share with us some of your favorite experiences in Rotary and
Like yours for a minute.
oh, well, if you'd like that.
Yeah, sure.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the board for the recognition of my 40 years in Rotary. I'm proud to be a Rotarian. That's the bottom line. I'm proud of the work that's being done throughout the world to make people's lives better. And I love the camaraderie of this club, and always have. I've met so many wonderful people, a lot of them have passed, but there have been so many that I tried to emulate in one way or another, and that's past and present. So anyway, that's a big part of why I stayed in Rotary all these years. We had wonderful programs, and I enjoy coming here on Monday, and I used to tell everyone I jumpstart my week with Rotary on Mondays, and I love the fact that we meet on Mondays. So anyway, I'd like to thank current members and past members and guests. Thank you very much.
Pleasure to give you your life membership certificate.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. But we don't get off that quick. So that was last Tuesday, 40 years. February 11th, 40 years ago. Gary Renner, come on down. Gary is a Paul Harris Fellow +2, Fresno Foundation +1. He is an RI benefactor and very generous to Rotary. When I contacted Gary, he said, let me send you a little write-up. Frank sent me a paragraph. Gary sent me 7 pages. Don't worry, Todd, I won't be doing all of them. Gary was brought into the club by a friend of his from Fresno State by the name of Rod Laurel. How many of you remember Rod? Okay, how many of you remember his father, who was president of this club, Rich Laurel? There we go. You still can remember, Wilson? Oh, you're doing good. So Gary moved back to Fresno and took over a position with Wells Fargo Bank as the Fresno Regional Commercial Banking Center. And then he moved on to there. He got recruited away by Union Bank, and then as a regional vice president, and then was taken away by Imperial Bank, which has become Co-America. You can't hold a job, can you? Frank worked his whole life in the title insurance business. You move around all the time.
It's hard to get a moving target.
So you got out of the banking business and you went to work with our Fresno Rotarian Chaz Bonner and Pacific Resources, and then decided you needed to come back to the banking business. And of course, you make the choice to go to County Bank. And then 2008 rolled around, and that local community bank didn't stand. You didn't have anything to do with that, did you? You opened the Fresno office. Okay, you're doing pretty good there. Okay, so you want me to keep working on you? So the Great Recession hits, and you decided to make the best move you made in your life. You made a career change. Well, the second best, because the other one I'm going to get to in a minute. But you made a career change over in development, and you spent the last 9 years at Valley PBS. Pretty good. We're real proud of you on that. So that enabled Gary to get involved in lots of boards in the community, and then he got invited to be in Rotary, as I said earlier, by Rod Laurel. And Bob Oliver worked on Gary to become on the board and be part of club service during his term as president. And you did a great job in that, but that led you into being president in 89-90. That's pretty good time. Okay, so I said that was the second best thing that happened to you. The first best thing happened to you nearly 46 years ago. You remember what that was? Oh, yeah. You gonna help me out? Okay, you got married to Nita, and you have 4 children and 3 grandchildren. And you enjoy playing golf and gardening and a couple of other things. But when I wrote Gary, he sent me a little note that there's some things that people don't know about him. And I knew these things about him. Gary went to Fresno High. And he was very active in sports at Fresno High. And the names of the guys he sent to me were Kenny Jensen, Bob Longacre, Fred Austin, and Larry Allred. They were the starting lineup of the 1961 Fresno High basketball team.
I was the ball.
Well, so I contacted one of those guys to find out a little bit about Gary. And you know what? Gary didn't play basketball. Gary played football. Gary was the starting fullback on the Fresno High Warriors 1961 team.
Oh, all right, all right.
Why they chose him is because he was built low to the ground and was a strong, powerful, swift runner and a good blocker. Do you remember your nickname?
Yes.
Porky. Porky was his nickname. Gary, can you share with us your experience as a Rotary that you're most proud of?
Well, there's really an awful lot of great things that have taken place that I am proud of as a Rotarian. I think probably the one that stands out the most, that just sort of exemplifies this club and Rotary overall, is when I was club president. There was a huge earthquake that shook the coast, and it just literally leveled a number of towns, some of which were in our Rotary district. And so it was decided that the clubs in the area would try to lend a helping hand to those areas, to those communities. And without any hesitation, when I mentioned this, I didn't even ask for anything. Club members started standing up and coming up and ringing the bell. And for all of you that are guests that aren't familiar, that's $100 a whack. And it wasn't just one whack. There were members that came up and hit it 5 and 6 and 8 and 10 times. Long story short, this club raised $10,000 in about 5 minutes to help these poor folks that got leveled over on the coast. And I think that just exemplified everything that Rotary stands for, and especially what this club has. It just exemplifies what this club has stood for its entire life. And that's just one instance. There were lots of others that were very similar. So that to me just is the greatest thing.
So share that proud moment of Rotary in action with us.
We got a technical thing going on. My favorite Sue in the whole wide world, you have our raffles today, and then we'll get into our program.
All right, we had a lot of people today buying raffle tickets. Thank you. It all goes to support our community projects. So we give money to Rotary to give it away to the community. So thank you everybody who bought today. So first of all, the thing we have to raffle off is our lecture at Town Hall. Puller here. Thank you, sir. Okay, the number is 907974. Who is that? 907974. Anybody? Nope, nobody got it? Really? There it is, and Carl Peklotz is my deliverer here. He will take you your tickets. Okay, so there we go. One down. Next, Ashley Webster is my deliverer for this one for the Manhattan, Mr. Jans. Thank you. Okay, $100 gift certificate to the Manhattan. 480531. 480531. Al Smith. Okay, Ashley. Oh, I'm listening to YouTubers. Okay, never mind. I'm back. Thanks, boys. All right, and then lastly, case of wine, which is out front. Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, for the 6 bottles of Chardonnay, 158380. Hey, all right, and your wine is out front. Thanks everybody for donating to Rotary Charities.
Without further ado, one of the 3 great past presidents, Al Smith, is going to come up and introduce our program.
I think that $100 is still left over from my Manhattan experience last Saturday. I have the distinct honor and pleasure to act as a moderator today as we narrow down the candidates for the upcoming election for the 26th mayor of our city. These 2 guests are with us here today, and we are pleased that they've taken the time out of a very, very, very busy schedule to be with us. So We appreciate you guys being here. And appreciate it. Here's the format for today. You will find on your table some tabletops. We're going to skip the introductions on because we want to get as many questions in as we possibly can. So if you want to read some background on the two candidates, it's right there on your table, and you can glance at it throughout the program. At the beginning, we had to flip the coin, and we determined who was going to go first. Here's the format. We will have opening comments from each candidate. They will start for 2 minutes each. Mona in the front has got the signs, and she will be the keeper of that. Then from there, we will rotate back and forth all the way through until we can get as many questions in as possible. Each will have 2 minutes to comment and 2 minutes to respond. And then the other will then have 30 seconds to rebut whatever those other comments are. And then at the very end, we'll ask them to each other a question. And they'll have 2 minutes to ask that question to each other, and they'll have 1 minute to respond to that. So from that, we will begin, and we flip the coin before we begin. And Mr. Dyer, I guess, won because he's going to go first. So, ladies and gentlemen, Jerry Dyer.
Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone, for having us today. Just wanted to briefly give you a few things in the introduction. Number one, I'm a lifelong resident of Fresno. I have been married for 40 years, so we'll be May 24th, have 2 children and 5 grandchildren. In terms of education, I have a Bachelor of Science degree, a Master's degree in Management. I'm a graduate of the California Command College and the FBI Executive Institute. Served as a past president of the California Police Chiefs Association and vice president for Major City Chiefs. 40 years of law enforcement experience, rose through the ranks, serving the last 18 years as a police chief. I oversaw a very complex organization with 24-hour, 7-day-a-week responsibility. Oversaw a budget of $200 million with 1,300 employees. I dealt with personnel issues, litigation, contract negotiations. I've been the voice of calm many times in this city in time of crisis. Withstood the scrutiny that comes with leadership as well as criticism. Led a department through the recession, and during that time, over the last 18 years, we've seen a violent crime reduction of 28% in our city and a 66% reduction in auto theft. Built relationships at the local, state, and federal level, relationships that I will take into the mayor's office. And I have a strong desire to unite this city under one Fresno so that we can tackle the critical issues facing us, such as homelessness and the associated blight, neighborhood crime, which includes gangs and youth violence, as well as improve our business climate in Fresno, so that we can enhance the economic opportunity for everyone and be able to restore our underserved neighborhoods. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. Mr. James, 2 minutes.
Thank you, and good afternoon for having both of us here today. It's an honor to be in front of fellow Rotarians to share our ideas about our visions for the city of Fresno. I currently serve as a Deputy District Attorney at the Fresno County DA's office. I'm a lifelong resident of the Central Valley. My wife and I live here in the city of Fresno. We have 1 daughter, and my wife is a small business owner. She runs her own mental health clinic here in our city, providing a desperately needed service to our community. In terms of my educational background, I have a bachelor's degree in economics, a master's degree in public administration, and a law degree from Southwestern Law School out of Los Angeles. For the past 5 years, I've worked at the district attorney's office. My current assignment is in the violent crimes unit. I am supervised by Clovis City Councilmember Bob Whalen, one of my mentors in the office, and somebody that's provided me with a lot of insight into our community. I'm in this race because, like most people in our city, I think that it's time for a change. I think for far too long we've had the same types of folks in in leadership positions in our city, and as a result, there have been many places in our community that have been forgotten and ignored. And so I'm in this race to make sure that all people that live here in the city of Fresno have a fighting chance and a place to raise their family and their children.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jansen. Just to let you know, earlier, the last 2 weeks, we've asked the members of this club to submit questions that we can share with you today. So we will begin with some of those questions. Mr. Dyer, we'll start with you. You mentioned it just briefly in your intro, but business-friendly Fresno has been talked about a lot over the past few years. We continue to hear complaints from dealing with city planning, and that remains a problem. So what is your answer to address the situation as it relates to the competition that we're having from cities like Visalia and Clovis? Mr. Dyer?
No question. Wherever I go, I hear about the challenges we face as a city in terms of plan review as well as permitting. And I've heard many times that as you go to cities like Clovis, they roll out the red carpet, and when you come to Fresno, we roll out the red tape. That hurts as a city, and quite frankly, things have to be changed. I know there's been attempts over the last several administrations to make those modifications, but we have a long way to go. Number one, I believe we have to change our culture in the city of Fresno to where we are not risk averse, rather we take risks, and that we share that risk with other business folks who are willing to come into our city, whether it's expanding local business or drawing in new business from the outside. I plan on going into the planning department as well as permitting to do my own assessment in terms of determining the process, the practices, the policies, the restrictions, the culture, so we can make some changes. Also have a commitment, privately funded, to bring someone in to do a comparative analysis, not only of the things that we do in our city government in terms of permitting and plan check review, but to compare us to other cities across the state that are having success. And it is important for us to draw upon those best practices and implement them here in Fresno. We have to make sure that we have an environment in Fresno that allows people to feel welcomed. And I do believe at times that we are very risk averse, and being risk averse oftentimes causes our employees to gravitate to no versus yes on projects. And it's my commitment to get them to gravitate to yes.
Mr. Jansen?
I'd like to speak about this topic from the perspective of my wife, who was fortunate enough to start her own business in the last several years. And I watched her do it. It was so hard, and it shouldn't be that hard. And I've talked to folks all across this community that have the desire to start their own business or expand their current operations. 80% of the non-governmental workforce here in Fresno and the Central Valley are people that work for small businesses. And so we've seen over the last few years us bend over backwards for large corporations like Amazon and Ulta who come to Fresno and create some jobs. I think what we need to do is really roll out the red carpet for small business owners. We should be giving tax incentives to those folks, because I think that they create more jobs than these large corporations that we've been trying to court. So for me, it's about reshaping what we are doing at City Hall in terms of people who are working at the planning department. I have many friends that are trying to start a business, especially downtown. They're being told no. Their projects are being put on hold. And so for me, I want to come in with a fresh perspective and new leadership in making sure that people at City Hall know where our priorities are as a community. And so that is going to be my focus in terms of creating jobs here in the city of Fresno. We also have to work to raise the standard of living here in Fresno. That's why last year I was somebody who supported Measure P, because I know that it would have created many new parks and places here in our community that would drive and bring other folks from outside of the area to come here to our city. And so I'm going to be supporting a new initiative in this coming year. Hopefully I'll give a few more minutes to talk about it coming up in a future question. But there's going to be a new proposal for a new city ordinance for public safety and for parks.
Good, thank you very much, and we'll probably be addressing some of that. We try to format this thing in such a way that we get more conversation than just a question and response. So he gave 2 minutes. So Mr. Dyer, you want to respond to what he just said, and then Mr. Jantz, 30 seconds for each of you to rebut.
It is true that business is the economic driver for our community. It's important we take care of local business, but it is important also that we balance that with attracting folks like Amazon, Ulta, and Gap. Those 3 entities provide to our local area over 3,800 jobs, both direct and indirect, and they provide an economic return on investment to the city, the county, and our educational institution of Fresno Unified of $322 million over 30 years.
Mr. Jantz?
The only thing that I'd say about that is the jobs that Amazon and Ulta have created are jobs that are going to be lost to automation, and those companies have said so themselves. They're not high-paying jobs, and so my focus would be on small businesses.
Okay, Mr. Jantz, this one's for you to start with. One subject that has been mentioned most by Rotarians when we ask them is the area about homelessness. The increased homelessness in our community seems to be a citywide crisis. How do you address it?
Yeah, in my conversations with the communities, with the community, in my town hall meetings, and my door-to-door interactions with folks, yes, it is the #1 issue for people that live here in our city. So for me, my plan to address the homelessness issue has to be a comprehensive one. There is no one easy solution. We need to make sure that we do better in terms of preventing people from becoming homeless in the first place. I know that the good folks at the Rescue Mission are doing a lot of work in terms of making sure that that doesn't happen, because there are so many people that are right there on the cusp of becoming homeless, and so we need to make sure as a city we do more in terms of that prevention. Yes, I agree that we need to make sure that we create shelters for folks who don't have homes. We need to do more in terms of working with the county in making sure that we get the services, mental health services. We need services with respect to drug addiction and all of those things. So we know we need to do that. But for me, it has to be a comprehensive approach. This is why I'm supporting the DRIVE initiative. It's an initiative that has been named by the governor as the reason why he's committed $11.5 million to our community to fight this issue. And so that's a program that I'm backing 100%. It's a program that was put into place by Ashley Swearingen, one of our previous mayors. I think that she was a transformative leader in terms of creating this pathway to where we need to go. And so that is my plan in terms of how we're going to be able to lift up some of these neighborhoods and some of our neighbors that have been really left behind.
Mr. Dyer, on homelessness.
Well, it is important that we look to the future and prevent homelessness in the first place, but we have a crisis in our city today that has to be dealt with. And that crisis, regardless of how people got out there on our streets, whether it's addiction to alcohol or drugs or mental health, abandoned veterans, or displaced families from domestic violence, we have to provide an opportunity for those individuals to get off the street and become successful. The vision I have, the plan I have, is to create navigation centers as well as bridge housing in sprung-up structures in our city that allows us to bring those individuals inside, one for families, one for veterans, and one for Come As You Are, and give them an opportunity to have services delivered to them at centralized locations. These are 90-day to 120-day stays, and then transition out into other types of affordable alternative housing, such as tiny home villages in our city, which we need to take advantage of, which will also allow us to satisfy some of the affordable housing mandates that are placed on us by the state. And I want to say that I've patterned some of this after San Diego. And I'm proud to say that San Diego is the only major county in the state of California that had a reduction in the homeless population this past year, and it is greatly attributed to navigation centers and bridge housing. I plan on taking that to the next level in Fresno. And I want to say this: it's important that we love people where they're at, but we're not willing as a community to leave them where they're at. That is inhumane, and that is not compassionate. We can do better as a city.
Mr. Chance, 30 seconds to respond.
Yeah, the only thing that I would add is that moving forward, we have to make sure that we work with our partners on the city council. I think that the mayor has to have that ability because in terms of budgeting and in terms of planning, we're not going to be able to get anything done unless we have a good working relationship with the city council, and I plan to have that relationship.
Mr. Dyer.
The relationships in the council are very important. Relationships in the community are important with the rescue mission, Poverty House, a number of other federal, state, and local agencies. It's really about all of us working together. And after this election, it is my plan to unite all of us in one common direction so that we can solve this issue in Fresno.
Thank you very much. Another question. Grizzly Fest, Fresno Foxes Soccer, Food Expo, all made Fresno more interesting and livable. We are losing these events. If it's a result of dealing with the city structure, how would you solve that? Starting with you, Mr. Dyer.
Well, I think it boils down to gravitating to the word yes. It is important as a city that we invite these types of entities to have, for example, Grizzly Fest. But at the same time, there has to be a balance in terms of loss of revenue for the city or the subsidies that we provide. But I believe we can be there. I have a great relationship with a number of these organizations. I've worked with them in the past in allowing us to provide policing services to them and to find a happy medium in there. But it is important that we not lose those organizations in our community. That is what makes Fresno a community. Having the Food Expo, having Grizzly Fest, having all of those large-scale operations or events in our city. It is critical that we do everything we can as a city to attract them, to keep them safe, to make sure that they are willing to come back again year after year after year, because we really are a big city, and big cities got to think big. And we want to have each and every one of those events in our city and be that roadmap for other cities across our country. I think far too often what we've seen is people do not come here because of our reputation. We've got to change that and make Fresno a place that attracts these types of organizations to host events.
Mr. Jantz, response?
Yeah, I don't think that there's any real disagreement on this issue. I mean, we have to bend over backwards to keep programs like this here in Fresno. I think that the current administration has failed miserably in terms of making sure that that happens. I've been a long-time supporter of the Foxes and Grizzly Fest, and I've talked to the organizers of Grizzly Fest. And as mayor, I make sure that event comes back to our city because we know that it generates a ton of tax revenue for our community, and so it's a positive for everybody. I don't think there's any disagreement here.
Any other comment on that?
In terms of Grizzly Fest, I have a great relationship with Aaron. When he put on the first Grizzly Fest, I was working with him. I was out there at the event, and it was a great event for Fresno, and we just have to find a way to make sure that stays here again in Fresno.
Mr. Jantz, anything else? Okay, thank you. Next question is for you, Mr. Jantz. There's been a lot of controversy regarding a new proposed tax. You mentioned that earlier, I think, regarding parks and public safety. First, as one of our Rotarians said on his card, aren't we taxed enough? And then, if you could pass that, is how do you come down on the parks versus public safety issue, Mr. James?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to answer this question. I am supporting a new proposal that is, I think, going to be released this week. We're going to be pushing very hard to get it out there. It is the proposal is a 3/4 cent sales tax increase. Half of it is going to go to parks, and the other half is going to go to public safety, split between police and fire. It's going to generate close to, in our estimation, $75 million annually. And it's going to sunset after 20 years, so the voters would have to re-up it if we want to continue doing it. And so this is a proposal that's going to be put forward by a large cross-section of our community. Many folks who are going to be behind this initiative are trying to bring folks together. I think that if we remember what happened with Measure P in the last cycle, there was a lot of division in terms of the dollars only going to parks and not having a public safety component. And so we think that this is going to be a good compromise. It's not set in stone. I'm hoping that both Jerry and I can come to an agreement on this issue. I think that there's room for us to negotiate and talk about what's going to be in this ordinance. But I'm pretty excited about it. I think that we're going to have a lot of support in the community, and we're just hoping to bring everybody together on this issue.
Mr. Dyer?
Yep. Thank you. My reasons for not supporting Measure P really was because I felt it lacked balance. It would provide significant funding for parks and the arts, but it did not do anything for other city services, to include police and fire, which are, quite frankly, far understaffed in our city. And the other thing that it didn't do was to take care of the neighborhoods. We have many neighborhoods in our city that have been left behind. In fact, as you go through those neighborhoods, in some cases they can be closely resemble third world countries. We have to do better in those neighborhoods that have been left behind. And I'm looking for a balanced measure. I'm not a big tax proponent. I think in California we have seen our fair share of taxes. This is why we see people leaving California in large numbers. And we have to make sure that we are competitive. We got to make sure that the sales tax that we have keeps us competitive with other jurisdictions so we do not lose business. Having said that, I've met with the group, I've reviewed the proposal, and I think we have a good foundation to start from, and I hope we can get to where we need to go. But it is important that we figure out a way to support the neighborhoods, that we find a way to support both police and fire services, and have beautiful parks and trails. As well as within the ordinance is some after-school programs, which I'm very, very supportive of. So I've met with the police association, met with the fire association, met with the group, and I'm very amenable to continuing those discussions so we can get to where we need to go for the betterment of this city, to have safe parks, clean parks, a lot of green space, to take care of our neighborhoods, and to make sure that our public safety services are able to take care of us as citizens.
Mr. James, any comments?
No, I just looking at the numbers, we still have a lower sales tax rate than many, under this proposal at least, we would have a lower tax rate than many places here in the Central Valley. So I think that we can maintain our competitiveness while working to build up our community. And I'm just really excited about the opportunity. It sounds like there is a good foundation, and groups that were on opposite sides last time have the opportunity to come together here on this.
Jerry?
Totally agree that measure created a great deal of division in our city. And I did not like that division. I did not like to be a part of that division. And I'm very, very hopeful that we can come together. And it is going to require us to, each one of us, to give a little in order so we can get a lot.
Okay, the next question, Mr. Dyer, comes to you. There's a lot of discussion regarding updating, once again, the general plan. So what was wrong with the one we just changed? And what are the areas in that plan that need to be improved?
Well, number one, there's no question that we are paying for the sins of our forefathers from decades and decades and decades ago, where we had urban sprawl. We have developments in the farthest part of our city to the outside sphere, and a result of that, we end up with some vacant land within the inner core, the inner city of our community. There have been attempts over the years by different administrations to have infill housing, and which is very important to us as a city. What we thought, though, was that we could force infill housing. And the reality is you can't, because what we have seen is the developers that when they're told they have to build only within the inner city, and for them sometimes it doesn't pencil out, we have to figure out ways to subsidize that so that they are able to do it without charging exorbitant costs for those houses within the core, or exorbitant rents. There is a balance that has to be achieved. It is to allow for growth on the outer parts in the southeast growth area, as well as west of 99, and at the same time balance that growth with the inner city, especially around our transportation corridors. That's critical for us, but we are going to have to take advantage of every single grant opportunity that we can at the federal and state level to provide that housing in the core. And some of that could very well be tiny home villages that allow us to have projects that pencil out and provide affordable housing for those individuals in our city that are barely making ends meet.
Mr. Jantz, your views on general plan?
Yeah, the general plan, as you alluded to, we just did it. We spent millions of dollars doing it, and I think the plan is good. I think that we had a large cross-section of our community coming together to create it. I don't think that we need to waste millions of more dollars to revisit it. I think we just need to do a better job in terms of implementing the plan. And so I would have, if I was on the city council, I would have voted with Nelson as far as it was the only person who voted to not look into reopening the plan. I just think that we need new leadership at City Hall to make sure that we implement what we know we need to do. We need to make it easier for developers to invest in downtown and the corridors that lead into downtown. And so, for me, I just don't think that we should spend the money to do it again. We just did it.
Mr. Dyer, comment?
It is important that we develop on the inner city, but we can't close out our other land in Fresno because we've seen the outcome of that, and that is we have people developing mass projects in Madera. That's going to create an enormous amount of congestion on 41, and we also see the explosion of housing in Clovis. We have got to figure out a way to provide that housing in Fresno and balance it within our core.
Mr. Jantz, comment? No? Okay. Next question. Mr. Jantz, this comes to you. Former Mayor Alan Autry always talked about the tale of two cities. If you agree with that assessment, are Fresno tax dollars being distributed fairly to better equalize the entire city's needs?
Yeah, he's right, 100%. And if you look at Fresno, we rank 49 out of 49 in terms of large cities in California, in terms of racial inequality. You go to South Fresno and talk to a black family, their median income is around $17,000 a year. You go north of Herndon and you talk to a white family, you have their median income somewhere around $70,000 a year. And so there is this disparity here in our community, and we absolutely need to do better. And so for me, my approach would be to focus on neighborhoods that exist right now that have really been forgotten over the last couple of decades. I don't think that we should be splitting up in terms of transportation dollars. There's a big debate right now in terms of where the money's going to go. We need to put the resources where the needs are most needed right now. And to me, that is basically South of Shaw in communities that are basically falling apart. Jerry and I are walking doors every single day, and we're seeing sidewalks and roads and just our basic infrastructure falling apart. And I think that there is a big consensus in our community that that's where we need to put the resources here and now. Long term, we can talk about where some of the other funding can go, but right now I want to put the money where it's most needed.
Mr. Dyer, Fresno tax dollars distributed fairly?
Well, we've heard the tale of two cities from Mayor Autry. I believe Mayor Swearingen talked about the blight line moving up to Herndon. And again, as Andrew said, with us walking neighborhoods, I see it every day. which is why I believe if there's going to be any tax measure in the city, we got to figure out a way to have increased dollars to meet the needs of some of these neighborhoods. Because right now you see sidewalks that have been cracked and elevated, making it difficult for our seniors to traverse. We have streets that need to be resurfaced, and we have trees that need to be removed and replanted. And we have a lot of that going on. The answer, quite frankly, is raising the income level of individuals in our community so that they can afford better within their neighborhoods. And we're going to do that through education, apprenticeship programs, vocational opportunities at the high school and middle school. But right now, the needs in the southern part of this city are incredible. And not just the southern part of the city, the central part of this community all the way up to Shaw and north of Shaw. So based on a needs assessment, should determine how those funds are utilized for what neighborhoods. But I can tell you at the end of the day, we are not going to have enough funds, which is why we have to figure out a way to have increased sustained revenue for these neighborhoods so that we don't be put, we're not in a position where we're saying my neighborhood over your neighborhood, because that's the predicament we're in today.
Mr. James, comment?
Yeah, just the only thing that I would add is that we have to continue to engage with our statewide elected officials, the governor's office, and making sure that we get funding from Sacramento. I think long term, there's a huge potential to have federal support in terms of our infrastructure here. I think this is something Democrats and Republicans can get behind at the federal level. I think we need to really work to rebuild America. And so supporting federal lawmakers who are going to prioritize investments in infrastructure is going to be important too.
Any other comment, Jerry? Okay. Last question from us, and then you guys can go at each other. A lot has been made of the opening of the Fulton Mall and downtown development. First of all, has it been positive? And secondly, how is downtown redevelopment coming? Let's start with you, Mr. Dyer.
First off, I think it's important that we look back 15 years ago or beyond and see how far we have come in downtown development. If you look back, we did not have housing like we have today in the Cultural Arts District. We have thousands of people now living downtown in the Cultural Arts District. We have to continue to build upon that. And we have a waiting list for people to get into those apartments. And they are they're somewhat upscale. And the rents sometimes $1,500, $1,800. So with a waiting list. I believe that there is a demand for people to live downtown. We just have to continue to provide that housing for them. If you look in our brewery district over by the stadium on a Friday night, Saturday night, we will have thousands of people frequenting our brewery district. We have to continue to expand upon that. We have Fulton Street that is now open that gives us an opportunity to build upon that area with business. It has to be mixed use, where we have retail on the bottom and we have a residential on the top. We need more residential to support our nightlife in Fresno. We have to become the entertainment hub of Central California in terms of nightlife and fine dining in downtown Fresno. We have an opportunity to do that. Rooftop dining, to bring in restaurants for the purpose of making sure that we have something unique downtown that will draw people from all over, not just the north end, but from throughout the valley to come and experience that nightlife right here in Fresno, in downtown Fresno. We just need to continue to build upon the success that we've been having. It's going to take time. It took a long time to get in this mess. It's going to take us a long time to get out of it, but I believe we've made substantial progress. Again, we have to share risk with businesses coming into downtown Fresno.
Mr. Jackson.
Yeah, again, I think this is one of those issues where there's no disagreement. We need to do more in terms of creating 30 seconds. Scared me.
This. Old-fashioned way.
So, no, I mean, we need to make sure that downtown is the place where people can feel safe to take their families at night. I was just down there on Thursday at Art Hop, and if you guys have been going out to Art Hop, it's really big. And And so I want that every night. And I think that there is a potential to achieve that. We just need to do a better job of working with folks who want to invest in downtown. But to answer your question, I think that we've laid the groundwork for it. I think there's a lot of room for improvement, but we can do it. And I think that now we have a city council that's ready and willing to work with a mayor that's going to bring that nightlife that we absolutely need. And then I'll bring up just the one thing. There are communities all across the country that fight tooth and nail to bring sports teams to their communities, and we should have just done a better job of keeping the Fresno Foxes here, because that also helped create that nightlife that we want to see downtown. So supporting programs like that would be a priority for me as well.
Mr. Dyer, comment?
I completely agree with the Foxes. I've met with the owners several times, trying to come up with ways to find locations for them here for a permanent stadium. That was very challenging, but I've met with business owners from Southern California who have now purchased a significant amount of property around the Fulton Mall, and asked them what it takes for them to continue to do that. And so I believe we have a plan. I believe we have a future, and I look forward to that future in downtown Fresno.
Mr. Chance, comment? No. Okay. So now it'd be interesting to see what's in your mind as it relates to your competitor in this equation. So, Mr. Chance, if you would begin, why don't you spend 2 minutes asking Mr. Dyer a question?
Jerry, you know that I just became a father.
Yes.
And I know that you have 2 kids, 5 grandchildren. I want to know, as a public servant, how did you balance your home life with your obligations to the community?
I don't know if I'm the right guy to tell you about balance in my life, because when I was a police chief, and congratulations, by the way, I sent Andrew a text message the day he was on the way to the hospital, and congratulated him and his wife Heather after they had a baby girl. And so, I really believe that balance is important in our lives with our children, because I've seen far too often where we spend so much time giving to the community that sometimes we lose our own children. And I also believe that bonding with a child in their first year is really critical, and being there for them because they need that father figure in their life. And I know you've done a good job in terms of being there for your wife, being there for your daughter, even though you're campaigning. And I really believe that you got to continue to do that. You need to spend more time at home and less time campaigning right now. So I can.
Okay, so since you guys are first name buddies, Andrew, Jerry, would you ask Mr. Chance a question?
I really had a hardball question here that I was going to ask him, but in the spirit of the fact that he just had a baby girl, I'm going to not ask this question. I was, but I do want to really understand, I guess, why someone who was having a baby, knew their wife was pregnant. What was the thought process that went into continuing to run for mayor in a time that you knew would be very, very critical? And I'm not second guessing or anything. I know that had to be a difficult decision, so I just want to hear that.
Yeah, it was a tough decision. I'm on the verge of falling asleep right now. But I think that we all have that moment. Those of us who have kids, we have that moment where you see your child for the first time on the sonograms or those 3D things that they do now. And something just went off inside me, and I was just thinking to myself, this is why I'm in this race. I'm in this race to fight for not only my child but for future generations. And so I'm not a quitter. I think that people who quit, that says a lot about them. And so there are a lot of people that I think that are supporting me in my campaign, that really are depending on me to spread their message and to be a fighter for them. And so that was sort of my thought process behind staying in the race.
Good, thank you very much. So let's close this portion of it out, and I would ask Mr. Jantz, you start and tell us in 1 minute why we should be electing you as mayor.
Well, I'll start off by saying that this week the Fresno Bee endorsed, the editorial board of the Fresno Bee endorsed my campaign, and I think that it says a lot for an institution like that who has supported or endorsed both Republican and Democratic candidates for office. For me, the number one emphasis for my campaign is change. I think that a lot of people have been questioning my relative lack of experience. They were saying a lot of the same things about former Mayor Ashley Swearingen when she was running for mayor. Many folks in this room supported President Trump during his campaign, and he was somebody that lacked relative political and government experience. But sometimes you just need somebody to go in and really upset the apple cart and bring change that I think we all know that we need for our city. And so that's why I'm in this race, and I hope that you support me on March 3rd. Thank you.
Mr. Dyer, 1 minute.
I had the opportunity to retire after 40 years and to travel, spend time with my grandkids because I deferred so much of that. But when the door of opportunity opens and you have an incredible burden for a city, you've got to make that decision. And I am willing to defer some of those things that I want to do for things that I know need to get done in a city. And I have a proven track record in terms of leadership in our city. And I believe that leadership is going to pay big dividends in the future. I too believe that there needs to be significant change in our city. And I'm willing to make that change just as I made in the police department when I became the chief. I'm proud to have the support of the Fresno County DA, the sheriff, our Fresno Police Officers Association, Fire Association, Fresno City Employees Association, bus drivers, Alan Autry, Jim Patterson, and Lee Brandt, all supporting my candidacy. Just because I have former mayors supporting me doesn't mean I'm not going to make significant change in city government, because I am.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them all a hand. That you guys have injected yourself into, and we cannot tell you how much, no matter what the outcome of it is, that you have put yourself into it. And it's our city's better because you're here today. I think that's it. One final thing before we get President Todd back up here. Next week we're dark. And then on February 24th, we'll have a Middle East update. Mike Hamsey will come here and talk to us a little about all the things going on in the Middle East. It's an exciting and topical subject matter. So I hope you will put it on your calendar for 2 weeks from today. And here's our President Todd.
Applause would be good. Yeah, come back. Thank you so much, Mr. Jantz, Mr. Dyer. Congratulations on both of you. Just keep at it for that matter. Thank you very much for everybody that attended today. I just wanted to kind of indicate, we do this every Monday, so you're all welcome to come back to be a member of our outstanding club. And just a little sidebar of business-to-business relationship, friendships from that standpoint, and really social media. So Kate plays Kate is a engineer at Provost and Pritchard, water engineer, and on social media over the weekend, she was holding a Jans poster. I support Jans. So she is here today to take this all in, just like everyone else is. And that is the beauty of kind of our democracy and everything that we have going. So thank you all for attending today. Have a wonderful week and take care.
Let's see what we got going on here. All right, y'all. So that was the Rotary Club of Fresno candidates luncheon, where they had Andrew Jans and Jerry Dyer present, and they gave me a couple of minutes on stage. I was told I was going to have 5 minutes, ended up turning to be about 3. So, and I was a bit rushed off stage, as you probably saw during the video. Work with me here. I'm doing my best to put the what is it? Stand here up. So work with me. I'm gonna do. All right, here we go. So, anyways, now that I got that situated, I wanted to show you guys a little bit of what I was looking at here. First, we got this beautiful piano. Look at that. I just wanted to show you guys that because that is beautiful. And also, I wanted to show you guys one of the centerpieces before they take it away. Let's see if we can get one. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Oh, no, it's okay. Thank you. All right. So let me show you guys one of the centerpieces. This was at every person's table here. It has Jerry Dyer on one side and let's see, Andrew Jans here on the other. And some information about those who sponsored today's luncheon. So, very hello there. How are you? Do you have a moment to talk? I sure do. I'd be happy to. I'm recording on Facebook. Is that okay? All right. Wonderful. Let's see if I can get this turned around back on me. All right. Hey, we got David Taub with GV Wire here. Would you like to start with me a little bit? Absolutely. I'll be pleased.
We don't have any access shots of me. Right. 3, 2, 1. And 1 more. 3, 2, 1.
Thank you very much.
No, they have no control role in any organization. Hey, thanks again, Nick.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me here.
Just a really kind of brief interview, just to a little bit who you are and so I think first of all, tell us a little about yourself. What do you do?
Absolutely. I'm Nickolas Wildstar, recording artist and civil rights activist and libertarian. I am Actually a two-time candidate for governor of California. I ran in 2014, and then again in 2018 when I was endorsed by the California. So, I am a long-time activist. I've been involved in civil rights activism for the past decade and that activism has led me to get more involved in political arena, since I feel like it's those policy changes that tend to cause more of the troubles that we in the community tend to deal with, and of course business owners and we the people of America. So I'm doing my best to, of course, get involved to be a true representative who I feel like are underprivileged and ignored spoken individuals here in the city. So
that being said, what we heard when it comes to distributing money, to spend money, or even when it comes to, let's say, there is money coming from parks, where would the priorities be where would you put the first park in, or where would you refurbish the first park?
Well, definitely the more ignored parts of the city.
What's that for you?
Southwest parts of Fresno seem to be highly ignored. Western parts of Fresno, it seems like south or north, anything north of Shaw tends to get the majority of the funding in the city, and that definitely needs to be addressed. I know Jared Dyer up there spoke about these changes coming at a later date in time. It took us a long time to get into this mess. I believe he said that it's going to take a long time for us to get out of it. Well, we the people in the community can't wait. We want those immediate changes now. We want immediate gratification for our tax dollars being taken out of our paychecks to solve these issues. So with regards to parks and sidewalks, more sidewalks need to be built, especially with the recent, resident that was struck by a car in a wheelchair. This definitely needs to be addressed immediately. So my proposal is to actually allow more free market enterprise development of parks and roadways. For instance, Domino's Pizza, they are offering to pave roadways for free. All we the people have to do is get permission to do so. No taxes out of, no money out of taxpayers' pockets, and now we have a brand new road to drive on. So I believe that again, if we allow free market development to solve a bit of these issues, it would reduce the amount of cost that we are spending, and again provide a solution, a quicker solution to remedy these issues.
Now I'm curious to say, recording artist, recognize any of your material?
Probably not. I'm what you call an underground musician, so a lot of my music is more so known by those who pay more attention to, I guess, underground hip hop. But I have been probably successful as an independent musician. One of my songs was featured in the movie Scared Movie, and I also have music being distributed online through Amazon and iTunes and Spotify. So thankfully, due to the technological revolution, I'm able to connect with the listeners directly instead of having to go through a medium such as a record label.
Now I'll ask this to conclude. If you had a second place vote in the mayoral race, who would you vote your second place vote for?
None of the candidates that you've seen on stage today. Probably would be Brian Jefferson, who is actually a candidate running for mayor as well, who is homeless himself. And I believe he's more dedicated to solving the issue of homelessness and would, again, offer a quicker solution to that that's being desired by the people of the community.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Oh, yeah, pleasure indeed. Thank you. All right, you guys. Hope you guys enjoyed that brief interview. Hopefully we'll see it in print sometime soon. We're yet to see what's going to happen with that. But especially with the mainstream media, since they are picking and choosing who they choose to tell you, we the people, the public about. So I'm still folding up this tripod. Bear with me. It's got a lot of moving parts here. This is why I need more volunteers, okay, people? I'm really out here on my own. I have nobody here with me. I would love it if my wife was here, but I also have a newborn baby, just like Andrew Jans, who is being taken care of right now by my wife. So as much as I would love to be at home with my baby, my newborn baby, and my wife, she is out there doing our best to take care of that while I make sure I solidify our future securely here in the city of Fresno. So I'm going to get out of here and stop taping so I could get to my car and all that good stuff. But I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Till next time, long live liberty. Peace.